I'm Jordan, and I'm basically going to critically evaluate my documentary and relay it back to what we actually had to do. So within this, I'll talk about my idea and reflect on my own editing work, and also some of the production skills that we have, like the post-production and pre-production stuff. So the purpose of us making this documentary in New York was to basically document us going there, our experiences and what we did. By doing that, we need to then edit something that gives narrative and meaning to be able to bring the trip to life and basically illustrate the subject and get it across to our audience. So my intended audience was basically to people that had an interest in New York, that wanted to go to New York. So basically travellers, or people that just wanted to learn, people that wanted to maybe look in on other people's experiences before they go, type thing. Overall, I think I got across my view of New York with the footage that was made available to us from each individual that managed to shoot something, and then sharing it when we got back. So the cinematography done as a group, there was going through it all. I suppose was the hardest part. It was the most time-consuming thing. Because when you've got all your files, you know what your files are, and then it's looking through everybody else's footage for the things that you might want to put within yours. That's kind of relevant to my idea, how I envisioned it, but also how I felt it when I was there. Going through it, yes, there was a lot of stuff maybe aimed at the floor, or a lot of stuff that's shaky, because most of us were doing handheld things. Some of it was a different kind of quality because all of us were filming on different devices, which made it difficult. As we tried to keep to a set frame rate and aspect ratio. So our frame rate that we agreed was 24 frames per second, and aspect ratio was I think 1080p. So when we get back, the idea was to prox it, or to make sure it was all in the same codec and all of that. But then you get some that are grainy, or that have lost quality and that kind of thing. So even though it kind of brings an element of documentary to it, some parts of documentary are off the fly, and other parts of documentary are really planned. And I think what's happened with this one is the fact that a lot of it was shot off the fly, because most of the time we were in awe of our surroundings. We'd never been there before. Some of us had never been on a plane before, or even out of England. So it was kind of getting to New York and remembering why we were there, what we were supposed to do, and keeping on task. Which in the future, getting jobs after we finished our course, that's what we need to learn, need to pick up on, that once we are somewhere and we are on a job, we have to keep focused. And I think that's what I'm going to take forward from doing this project. It's what will help me in the future to stay focused and admire everything later, whether that be to go back, or it just means that staying focused was the key to getting something like this right, considering we only had a week to do it in. Where I put myself in the cinematography range, I mean, I shot a couple of things. I did take my digital SLR, but it was so cold. It was so cold that if you got it out and set it up, your hands wouldn't be able to move, or you were shaking because you were so cold, because your core was just freezing. So getting it out, anything that you shoot, you would probably not be able to use anyway, unless you carried a tripod around all day and all that kind of thing. So we were basically out walking through the streets of New York, going to different places all day, each day that we were there. So it did make it really difficult. To be honest, I could have shot more myself. I was only filming on my iPhone, so I got about 5 video clips. Again, so in awe of things, I lost focus. So I think next time, if I ever go back to New York and I did this again, I would force myself to focus a bit more. The fact that we're there, we're doing, you know, we are doing some filming, so take more precautions, come up with my, I guess, a contingency plan. Like, you don't realise how cold it's going to be, you don't realise how long you're going to be walking around, so it's taking all those things into consideration next time to be able to come out with an improved product at the end. Editing techniques. Making my documentary, most of the editing techniques that I used were basically jump cuts. So I I just cut things, because you don't necessarily need anything. Fade to black. So I'd use a fade to black through the passing of time, or if I wanted to make something stand out, like I have done further along. So this is the airport. I've kind of used everyone inside, then into a plane, and then once I've, gone to the plane, I've cut to inside the plane, because we see the plane, now we cut to inside, and I used a crossfade to show that we were then in there. There we go, we're now inside, and we see that we're in the air through this window, that we're hovering over New York, so we've obviously got there, and obviously the landing. We're touching down, touching foreign land, and we made it. Okay, so I used quite a few cuts throughout. This is one of my favourites. We've cut to the landing, and I've searched through the footage and found this flag. I wanted to make the connection, the fact that as soon as the plane hits the ground, where are we? We're in America. So that's why I used the flag there. And I also reversed the shot because I just liked it better. I wanted it to fill the screen. I wanted the viewer to see that, yes, we're in America, and here we are. Stood outside the airport waiting for our next transport. And what do we see when we're out there? Yellow taxis. So, again, for me, it's a touchdown. We survive the flight. We get into America. You have this emotion come over you. You're in somewhere and you don't quite believe it. And then you see the yellow taxis, and, it's always on films. You always, it's just a film set as soon as you step out there, and I wanted to get that across with my opening sequence. And then there was a big thing about jaywalking. We're all worried about not crossing over, where do we go, what do we do? So that's why I put in this sign. I put in this sign because that's one of the first things that I remember talking about. I suppose it's very personal to me, but it's not only me that will be thinking about the jaywalking. So, again, typical New York, typical things that you would think of and see. So the flag, the taxis, the sign for crossing the street. Then we're in the coach. And we're all having a nice time, we're all excited, some of us are tired. But this is where we start to see our first things of New York. So we can slightly see it here in in the background. We can see stuff. We can, the signs are so different. The roads are different. You drive on the different side of the road, and it's just, that's another thing we needed, that I wanted to, get across. Like, everything just seems different. I mean, we've got on a plane, we're flying to somewhere, and because, you have really not that much idea. It always seems, you see it on a map, it looks like you could just walk across the ocean and then you'd be in New York, but it's so far away, and it's so many things are the same, but yet so many things are different as well. So again, these travelling shots just give you an idea of, I mean, this you would never, I never thought about this. The fact that you've got a massive city with so many buildings in one place. Where do you bury people? They're not all just gonna like disappear. So this also was a big thing for me, and I wish I'd got more of it. But you don't, because you're just staring at it, you're not thinking about those things. So that's where, again, being focused comes into play still. You have to be focused, you have to be switched on. Like, we had to be, if we go out there again, it's being switched on all the time, because something could happen and you would just miss it. Like, while we were there, we picked up quite a tip, that you switch off, when you're filming something, you switch off the standby light or the recording light and all the sounds. So you can still be rolling and catch some stuff that you wouldn't have caught, say if that person, told you to stop filming. The light's on, the light's off, you can say you're not recording and capture something that you wouldn't have captured otherwise. So that's another big thing for me, to make sure I've got enough storage, enough battery, and a device that is capable of running for long periods of time. So those are the things that I would take away from this. The fact that you should always be recording if you're filming a documentary. Film anything and everything, because you don't know where it's going to fit in. I mean, even if it's not something that you've planned to put in, it could be something that would be really good to put into show. Like, some of the things that I wish I'd recorded, so, some of the sunsets and some of the sunrises, and people waking up, people getting ready, but, we did this thing where we met on the 12th floor, where the cafe was and where the meet point was, every morning. So there's something that I could have used, which is repetition, to show the different days. So sunrise, wake up, get ready, meet on the 12th floor. Where are we going? Today we're going to Liberty Island, blah blah blah, and then do the Liberty Island trip, and then the next morning, do somebody different waking up, a sunset from a different angle, or a sunrise from a different angle. But at the end of, say, the trip, we could have then, at the end of, I'll use my last example, when we went to Liberty Island to visit the Statue of Liberty, the fact that I could have filmed a few sunsets, a time-lapse for a sunset, and that could have been the end of the day, or I could have filmed someone going to sleep, just to break up the week. I think, to be honest, my narrative, I like the way I've set things out, but that's how it could have been better. It's those fill shots that I didn't particularly think about, because it's natural to people. It's natural for people to wake up. It's natural for the sun to go down and sun to rise. So you don't necessarily, that it doesn't come to mind so quickly. It's, getting the shots of, getting a picture of the Statue of Liberty, getting a picture from the top of the Empire State Building, getting a picture of the bull on Wall Street. It's all those things that are obvious that you film, but it's the things that we needed to pay attention to that weren't so obvious, that I've already mentioned, that we needed to pay attention to get a stronger sense of narrative. I could put titles in. That's another thing that I could do to improve my sense of narrative and concept of time. The fact that I could put in titles. I did try it with titles, but I just felt it was too in your face for the narrative that I was trying to get across. So in the way that I edited it, I've had to do it with travelling shots and kind of be more creative with the clips that we had and find different ways of using them. So saying reversing a shot, then maybe reversing the speed, flipping the clip. It's those things that, being an editor and using your editing skills, would actually really play a big part in this. So, what else did I do that I liked? I mean, this isn't particularly obvious. I mean, this is the hotel that we stayed in, and this is another fill shot that would have made a bigger impact. We stayed there for 4 days, and I didn't once get some footage from across the other side of the road. I could have done a time lapse, anything. It was, having that would kind of just split it up. We've arrived. I maybe could have even done a close up from around here, and point it up. We stayed at the Marriott Courtyard Hotel. Oh my god, I've got pins and needles. Oh god, this really hurts. Jeez. Okay, so another thing that I could have done, we could have pulled up, I could have filmed us all getting off the bus. Sorry, excuse me. Getting off the bus, loading our bags onto the luggage trolley, and then us then into this. Us walking down the street, a drain, which is basically, you come across them so much. You associate a steaming drain from America and New York City. So I don't understand how we missed that. There was only one clip of this steaming drain, and I had to put it in because it's part of what I wanted to get across with my narrative. The fact that I wanted the things about New York, so, the flag, the taxis, the different, travelling on the wrong side of the road, steaming drains. It's those things that I needed to put in for my so again, I'm just cutting to stuff. I mean, this shot I probably shouldn't have used because it's so out of focus and unclear. But this is us waiting to go to the Statue of Liberty. Cutting to stuff that, shows us where we are. And then this. We were on the boat, that's how we got there. Because how do you get to Statue of Liberty? By boat. How many people go on there, and then the skyline of New York City and Manhattan and everything else that goes with it. I wanted this in it. I got it in it. You know, travelling, getting off the boat, walking onto the island, and and then actually being able to be on the island and seeing the Statue of Liberty. So this is where I tried to be more creative. I cross-faded, or cross-dissolved, from here to here. So it shows a passing of time, that we've come to this position, and then I did this. So a pan up, well, I used this, I didn't film this, I used this. A pan up, I mean this, oh, where did we stand? Where were we? We were up here. This is where we were, where these two heads are that you can see. We were stood up here. But to show the sense of us going up there, I use this kind of pan up. So we're still there. I wanted a bit of fact, a view, because I'm looking out.
And I think maybe we should take the lift. How do you think about being high up?
Like talking to people, I wanted, you know, a Statue of Liberty was a big thing for me because I was actually quite excited to be there, to see how big it was. And in real life, it's a lot smaller than what it seems on films. So that was nice to. It's nice to see things in real life when it doesn't seem real on the telly, if you get what I mean. But yeah, it's getting people's feelings and views while they were up there. That's what meant something to me, because I wanted to know how other people felt. The fact that you can actually see inside, you know, and then my editing for this bit, because we didn't kind of say that's the end of that, this is how I decided to end the trip of the Statue of Liberty. So I've got somebody running down the stairs, and then reversing the shot that I used before for when we went up to the Statue of Liberty, for the way back down. I've intercut it as well to kind of get across that we're coming back down. We've been up, we're coming back down. Like, we've been up, we've listened to people, and now the day's kind of nearing an end. So we come out, and then this bit I like because we can see exit just here. The fact that, so we get to see the exit, we know that we're leaving, and that's why I put that bit in there. It's editing something in and giving you like a sense of, well, we've been there and now we're going.
Nice, yeah.
And then a fade to black because now it's night time. Fading it to black shows a passing of time, which helps with my narrative, but also with my music as well, which I've done all along. I've changed the music just left it as dialogue to split up my narrative, to show a narrative, to give a structure to my edit. So it fades up, the music's changed, and now we're at the Empire State Building. Again, I suppose the creativeness that I've tried to use is the fact that we're walking to places. We did so much walking. We weren't really... At the start we were on a coach, at the end we were on a coach going home. So that's how I've tried to keep a kind of repetition. So like I was saying previously, if I'd have got a sunrise, somebody waking up and meeting on the 12th floor and deciding where we're going, then the walk, you know, it doesn't have to be long clips, it just has to be short, like a montage of stuff, which is what we should have thought about on the pre-trip. So when we were doing the planning for it and creating our proposals and creating all the stuff that we think that we needed. But that also comes down to like job roles as well. I think we should have, as a group, created more teamwork. I think a lot of us were just out for ourselves. I know, you know, we were supposed to do our own individual one, and I think that was taken too far in a sense. The fact that we know that we needed to film stuff and film our journey and film where we were going, what we were doing, but there needed to be structure. I think there needed to be, you know, the time management up to it was very brief, so it wasn't very good. It could have been a lot better, because then we would have had more idea talking as a group, who was filming what, basically. So we should have had like delegated and designated people, things to shoot. But then I suppose there's a downside to that, because everybody's edit for the documentary would be the same. And I suppose everyone's was the same, just there wasn't much planning to it. So it kind of happened by accident. And by default, I suppose, when you don't have as much planning or as much thought, because you're just excited about the holiday side to it. So I'll carry on. The fact that, yeah, we've got the walk-in shop, then we've got where we were and the views, which is what I did with this. If we go back to the Statue of Liberty, where is it? Here. So we stood. That's the whole group. So there's still people at the start of it. I've showed you where we are. We're travelling there by boat, and we walk into it. Here, look. We walk into it, and then we're there. I've showed you where we are, what we're doing, a bit of dialogue, and then going home. So, which is the same with the Empire State Building. We're inside, we're going up, and we see the view, what, you know, the whole around it, and then leaving the Empire State Building. But then we're out on the street and walking, and notice, let's just go back here, we're leaving, and the music changes. There's a crossfade again, to show the passing of time. We're somewhere different, the music's changed, and we're in the streets at night. And what do you think of? You think of late night buskers, you think of busyness, but to me it was so laid back, which is again what I wanted to get across to people. The fact that you were in this busy environment, you could see everything happening, but I felt so relaxed. So it is a bias of quite a subjective documentary from my point of view, I suppose. It's how I felt, it was my journey, and that's, I suppose, it does what I wanted it to be and my aim. But on the other hand, I don't know whether it would help anybody. I mean, my target audience was people that maybe wanted to go to New York or were interested in New York. or had even been to New York and wanted to see it through somebody else's eyes or bring back their own memories, kind of thing. So, kind of put themselves in the picture. So it was relaxed, the atmosphere was good, and that was kind of Times Square. So we did Times Square. We did it in the day as well, but I'm trying to give a sense of narrative, a sense of time. So, yeah. And this one is going home, walking home. And again, fade to black. And this one is a slightly longer hold on the black because I wanted it to be a longer passing of time because it was the next day. And faded out the music. And this is where we were. Ground Zero, 9/11 Memorial. So what I've done here is, again, for the edit and for more impact and for the narrative, is I've used the actual sounds from the clips. Because it was quiet, it was strange to be there, and it was a mixed atmosphere. So I wanted to get that across as well, and by doing that, I used my edit to emphasise that. So you could just hear the water and the silence of the people around you.
Just visited Ground Zero. Feels strange.
I wanted to get across my feeling of it and how it was for me, but also the general atmosphere. Like, I kept the captured atmosphere of this was just insane. So I had to put it in. I had to do something.
All but sad at the same time.
And again, a long, quite a big fade to black, and then to Somewhere Happy. So it's kind of got a little bit darker. I wanted to lift the mood quite quickly. The fact that, yeah, we're in FAO Schwarz and we're on the big piano. We're having a play. It's good. Putting this in there, just editing, simple editing it together, making the shots fit from standing on it to going to the feet, and then this. Still the same sounds. I don't want to put too much music in because I think you can make it dull if you put in too much music. That's why I wanted to mix it up a little bit, but also for the narrative, to keep people interested. Like, what's going to happen next? Is there going to be dialogue? Is there going to be a nice montage sequence of where they went? So just keeping this in mind. I mean, I shot this. I was determined to put it in because it made me laugh. It was good. The fact that we're in Central Park, there was loads of snow, but I've used a mix of the two here. I've used a mix of the music and dialogue. So I've had just music, just dialogue, the normal atmosphere, the atmosphere of, one of the clips, and then this one. It needs to stand out.
So far we've had really good weather.
Because there's a twist.
Blue sky, white snow.
And this is where it twists. There's a passing of time. I basically spoke too soon. That's what I wanted to get across with this edit. Crossfade for the passing of time. And we're at a news flash. Breaking now. Massive snowstorm slams East Coast. And it's where we were. And where we were going to fly from. It was massively impacted on what we did, where we went. We had to walk in it. It was crazy. So not putting this in would be silly. So I put it in. And I also used a different kind of music. Whereas before, I've used a music track or the own atmos of the clip. But I wanted to have a scary atmosphere because it was scary. The fact that we could fly home and end up dropping out of the sky because everything's frozen in the air. It was scary knowing that there was a possibility that we were still flying out there. So relaying my feelings into the edit was what I wanted to get across, to provoke feeling from the viewer, like, what's happening, what are we doing, there's a snowstorm, did they make it out, blah blah blah. You can feel it. I didn't want there to be any other sounds apart from this Atmos sound. And to me, the sound that I got was spot on. I did try Music Track, but it just didn't work. The time lapses were brilliant. Like, even though they kind of curved a little bit, getting that kind of blizzardy feel to it, and just cutting to different things. Because it was all happening at the same time, I suppose. Like, I've never seen snow like this before. So, again, it would have made a big impact on me, and I wanted to show it to the viewer. Like, this is brilliant. I've never seen this before in my life. Nobody in England would ride a bike with a poncho on through massive, thick layer of snow and sleet. So then, on that, I decided to cut to the credits because basically that was the day that we went home, and as soon as we'd done whatever we did in town, we got the coach, we'd already packed our bags, so it was definitely time to go home. And I think my credits worked well over this. It was, travelling through New York at night, through the massive puddles of sleet. I chose the music because when you go to somewhere, so at the beginning, it was all nice, but by this bit, it's drumming you up for an adventure. You're excited because you've got there and you're gonna uncover stuff, and using, music that's happy. You're travelling to somewhere. So my end shot, when you go on road trips, you listen to, when you're actually travelling there, you listen to happier music, upbeat music, stuff that you can probably sing to, and then on the way home, you basically reflect, and that's what I wanted to provoke when watching this. Like, I like lights. I like the fact that you can, think. It's still busy, but the music is reflective. You can reflect on what you've just seen, like I reflected on my whole trip whilst making it. So, I like it. Okay, so as a whole, the production skills, I suppose, the workflow and time management of it all could have been a lot better pre-New York. So while we were going through all the planning, it could have been more in depth. There could have been more to the proposal. There could have been more to, the kind of shot plan and the stuff, the ideas that we wanted to get while we were over there. There wasn't many group meetings about what we could film. It was all just individual research, I think, rather than actual teamwork. We were creating a documentary for the whole year group. So we were making one using everybody's footage. So really everyone should have been planning to start with. So that would be delegating job roles and responsibilities to be able to share the filming load. And also post New York as well, the fact that everyone needed to share all their footage. I mean, I think some people held stuff back and they wanted it for their own and they were a bit precious over it. You know, that doesn't hit the criteria that we were given. So not sharing it is a little bit sneaky, a little bit crafty. I think there was a couple of people that didn't share any of their stuff, and it would have been good for the stuff that I needed or somebody else needed. You know, there's always going to be that shot that you need that somebody might have. In this instance, in this case, everyone was filming, everyone needed to share. So, you know, that's down to planning also, making sure that everyone's got the right proxy, making the right proxies with their codecs, and it would have made the editing workflow easier if everyone did it at the same time. I mean, putting it on the time capsule, everyone was dragging their feet, dragging their heels, because they wanted to look at their own footage before they gave it to somebody. But in my case, I had 5 clips, shared them all, and it was out there for everybody. For those that had quite a lot of footage, it took a lot of time to proxy and stuff, so that was an issue. So for the future, making sure that everybody knows what they're doing, when they're doing it, what they've got to film, and all of that. So making sure everyone's aware of their job and staying focused. I think I keep coming back to focus because that's one of the main things. To be able to get, you know, those important shots, those important filler shots, those important narrative shots, you have to focus and plan. So that's what I would take to future projects: focus and planning. But not only that, it was a big place. It was daunting to some people because, you know, not everyone had been on a plane before, not everyone had been to New York, not everyone had left the country, not everyone had left from Melton. So it was one of those things where it was a holiday, it was a trip, it was an adventure, and I think filming more of it would have helped with some of the narrative. Some of my, if I'm gonna criticise mine, I think, yeah, getting missing footage, filming as much stuff as I could for the future, or for future projects that I would know. Sound, I could have done better on my sound with the crossfades on it, making sure that they ran smoother so the music didn't end suddenly and then another one start. So I think some of these were a bit sudden, like the ending of this, I think. Could it be here? Like, I could have crossfaded that a little bit more, like started one of them during the other so they did it in a smoother motion. There's one, you know, this bit of sound, coming back to here, I wanted the sound of the voiceover that was coming from here on the boat, on the ferry, sorry, and I think I said something and I ruined it, but I was too busy focusing while I was editing on this tunnel announcement that I didn't hear this. I was annoyed with somebody and I told them I was kind of whispering to myself but forgot I was filming, and also didn't even notice that I said it until I showed it to everyone, so that was a bit annoying. So my crossfades to my sound needed to be better. I think that my music fit with my imagery. I did want to create a certain feeling with them, similar to how I perceived the different places that I visited and my emotions at the time, so that I could actually relay that to somebody with my documentary. I know it's biased, but surely, documentaries are biased by the creator of them, the creator, the director, the whatever. So if anyone's creating the sound to it, so if someone's putting the music to it, they're gonna put their own style of music to how they think, to what they think should be over it. So that's what I did. I could improve on my narrative with more planning to my filming, everyone sharing their footage, and I could have put in titles, days maybe, to replace the sunset and the sun going down, people waking up and all of that. But overall, I think the technical quality for it was okay. The fact that I used CinemaScope, even though, some documentaries aren't really, specific, they're not a CinemaScope, they're probably just standard. I could have used some colour grading to make everything look, stylised and unique to me. But again, documentary sometimes is a little bit rough, is a little bit, you see it for what it is. So I was kind of taking that style to it, taking it to mine. I think, to me, my documentary hits the aims that it was set out to do, and could have been better due to the points that I've already mentioned. I think it has got a good suitability for purpose. It is a documentary. Sometimes it's poetic. Sometimes, I'm there within it. I mean, it does contain quite a few modes of documentary. I think my own contribution to the product was good. A lot of people used my clips, my 5 clips, which I thought, weren't really significant. But to me, they were significant because it's what I witnessed and viewed, and to others as well, because they either found, the comedy in it or the seriousness in it. Sorry. Overall, the team's contribution, everyone filmed something, not everyone shared it. So I think that could be improved for next time. We all met the deadline, we all completed our documentaries. And that basically sums it all up. Thanks for watching, hope you understand what I was trying to get across. Thanks very much.